Hey, what's going on? Let's talk about some stuff I kind of want to feel like I need to discuss. This is my Thursday thought. This will start being a thing because it needs to be, quite honestly. It's an at-home plan. Whether you are currently working out or not, while we're quarantined, some things really need to be focused on and paid attention to because it's going to affect our quality of life over time, especially if this thing drags out a little bit longer than the next 30 days, which more than likely is going to happen. So what we need to discuss here is what I would recommend, because I am seeing some things on my Facebook feed and with some of our current folks that kind of needs to be addressed from both sides of the fence. The first one being the ones that love to work out and could spend all day working out. It's a great time to focus on your fitness, but focusing on your fitness doesn't mean you need to work out 3 hours a day at all. Doesn't mean that at all. And by working out, I mean actually throwing weights around, doing CrossFit style workouts, or what we call metabolic conditioning workouts, long duration workouts. Being active is different than working out, okay? Only because you want to be able to continue working out through this quarantine. And if you're trying to hit multiple 2-a-days during the week, or say 2 to 3 hour long workouts, you're going to run into some issues with probably recovery, just feeling well. This is not a time to run your brain down so much that you don't even want to work out, or it's making everything else seem like a drag. That's a good sign of under recovery and over too much working out. So, where do we find that line? I propose being more active, number one, because that's not a bad thing. But then we have the people on the other side of the fence who are utilizing this time to not really do anything, which is okay. I'm not going to argue that. But this brings up some factors that are going to hurt us over the 30 to 60 to 90 days that this will potentially drag out. And this goes for both sides of the fence as well, both camps. But it will be more detrimental to the group that feels like now is not the time to really work out. So, let's say for anybody, I would recommend hitting, here's your 7-day cycle, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you can see that, great. If not, that's why I'm explaining it. We're going to walk 7 days a week. And the whole purpose of this is just to get our steps up. So I have over here daily steps. What we need to think about is moving around more. Because we're isolated in our homes, those of y'all that track your steps, I'd be willing to bet if you go back and look at the last 2 weeks, they've diminished significantly, unless you're focusing on trying to keep them up during this time of isolation. So walking, if you want to do that, it's a great time to go out with the family. It's a great time to do it when you first get up. You can pop in an audiobook, you can pop in a podcast, you can knock out 30 minutes to an hour every single day with no issues, usually because you have nothing else to do right now, especially when you're working. Most of us, I know, some of us are on calls and stuff throughout the day, but you can find a time, early morning or evening, to help add this in, because we are having to sit around still answering those calls. You can replace walking with play, or you can add in play, whatever that means for you. Playing, going out on a bike ride with your family, getting out in the yard, doing some yard work. I know that's not play, but you get the idea. I would say all of us need to walk at a bare minimum every single day, even if you don't feel like hitting this next area. And just moving around like that is going to be beneficial for you while we're not really focused on it. For your workout schedule, I'd recommend a 3 on 1 off, 2 on 1 off for those that are well versed in working out. If you're not, you can cut that down to 3 or 4 days a week, especially if you're adding in some of these other things. But the beauty of what we're doing on our end giving you different workouts is you don't have to follow some of the bigger things every day. You know, there's body weight workouts in there that you could probably do 6 to 7 days a week and be just fine with. Whereas when you start throwing weights into things, that's when it starts causing issues, stacking it day after day after day. I'd still recommend taking one full day off a week of working out, not being active, just working out. And I like to utilize that on a Sunday. Right now, I don't think it really matters. However you want to structure this is fine. But just know that we recommend, or I would recommend, a 3-on, 1-off, 2-on, 1-off schedule for actual working out, meaning anytime you're picking up a weight or swinging something or hitting something with a high intensity. So that leads us into your off days and something else that you can do on top of your walking and playing on every other day. You know, in the SugarWOD app, you'll see ROMWOD listed daily. If you haven't clicked on the notes on the ROMWOD list, you'll find our login, which is awesome. Get on and do that. Most days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturdays, are going to be like a 10 to 15 minute stretching routine that you can literally do that evening before or after the kids go to bed, before you get in bed. Grab a glass of wine, sit there and sip on it between transitions. It's a great time to do that too. But on Thursday, you can consider some movement and some activity on these longer stretch days, because they'll generally post a 30 to 45 minute stretching routine. And so when you start throwing that in onto those days, you've gotten a long walk in, you've played with your family, and you've gotten in some stretching, you're still being really active on those days. And so you shouldn't really feel like you have to do more because of that. I think we get in this trap, hey, I've got all this time, I need to do more. And I love that. I want you to be as active as possible. But more, again, is not working out in your garage or throwing weights around for 3 hours. And it doesn't have to be ROMWOD. If you just go sit and do some stretches that you know, do those kind of things. The beauty of ROMWOD is it, just like CrossFit, it varies it up for you a little bit and you don't really have to think about it. There's even a company out there called GoWOD who's giving you 30 days free on this stuff to really try out and get mobile. Those of y'all that have tight shoulders, have tight hips, you can't touch your toes. This is a great time to focus on this stuff and work on it. You have time, believe me, I know you do. So let's talk about the factors that will hurt us, and we can, these are going to be fun, and we can talk about some ways to mitigate some of that. So a big thing is right now, most of us are having to make all of our meals, which is cool. That's awesome. It's a great way to bond with your family, with your wife, your spouse, your loved ones, whatever. You can do Zoom meetings and cook with somebody else if y'all have the same thing. They have places like HelloFresh, Blue Apron, things like that. You and your friends could order the meal and y'all could cook it together while you're on Zoom as kind of a group cooking effort. Fucking smart. We're gonna do that. But because of that, and we're trying to support other businesses, it's really easy to say, well, I'm gonna just support this business today, and you order a pizza or all that. You know, there's not super great options for ordering that aren't overly priced, but you get the idea. I would be remiss to say that you should focus on trying to make your own meals during this time, because in the long run, it's gonna be more beneficial for you. And ease of access to TV is why I say get up and walk and stretch and play during the day, because that's one of the things that's gonna make us sit and reduce our activity level overall, because it's right there. Netflix, Hulu, HBO, all that stuff is available to us now 24/7 instead of while we're in the office. It's a lot easier to click on that TV. Ease of access to booze. I can tell you this, it's right there. And if you're keeping it in the house, it's really easy when you are at the end of the day to say, hey, I'd like to have a drink and celebrate the day that I just kicked ass. And snacking, you know, because we're around our house more and we're just sitting around maybe doing not as much activity, we tend to get bored and reach for snacks. And bored is the key word here, because boredom is what leads to all of this. So if you can keep your mind sharp and keep it busy, you start avoiding these other things. And how do you keep it busy? by going on walks, by playing with your kids, by playing outside, by doing yard work, by hitting a workout, by stretching, by reading books, by making your own meals, by calling your friends on Zoom, attending virtual classes because you know you're going to do it for that day. Be wary of boredom, guys. Now's not the time. Learn something else that you want to do. That's a topic for another day. But I'll wrap this up for you because I know I'm running a little long here. You can sub out play for walking. Watch the sitting down all day and focus your nutrition efforts right now while we're in this quarantine and being isolated. It's going to be really easy to start breaking the habits that you've built. At the same time, it's a great time to start learning new habits. So, throw any questions you have in the comments on this. That's my Thursday thought. I hope it didn't go too long. I'm not sure how long it's been recording, but thanks for listening. If you have any other topics you want me to talk about, go ahead and throw them out there, and I'd love to discuss anything. We got plenty of time. So, happy Thursday.